Alina, we were supposed to start.
Welcome to the Bull's Lunchtime Show, where the hosts change faster than you can eat a sandwich. For this week, I'm your host, Alina. Today, we're going to talk to some Bull specialists. Speaking about specialists, let's meet our first guest, Jorit Snyder. Jorit Snyder is an executive board member here at Breda University of Applied Sciences. He studied public administration in Leiden and got his first PhD in higher education policy studies at the University of Twente. Prior to Boas, he was a director and chairman at University College Roosevelt. That's it. Hi, it's a pleasure to meet you. So, could you briefly once again introduce yourself to our audience?
I'm Jorit Snyder. I'm the president of the executive board of BUAS, and yeah, it's great to be on the show, the second show, right? The BLT show. Yeah,
Well, it's an honor to have you,
thank
honestly.
you.
How long have you been working here at Breda University of Applied Sciences?
Well, it feels like ages, but it is 2.5 years now.
Oh, wow, that's impressive. What inspires you to take such a leading role here at this university?
BUAS is a special place. It's an international University of Applied Sciences, and there are a lot of students and staff that really want to get everything out of it. And yeah, I'm really thrilled to be here. It's a high quality institute, and I like the campus as well, which is really beautiful.
Um, and what do you do as the president of the executive board members?
Well, I have a lot of meetings every day, a lot of guests. Get colleagues from BUAS, but also external guests. So, for example, we had the yesterday we had the ambassador of Jamaica coming in, and this afternoon the director of NAFIC, which is an organization for international collaboration. And yesterday I had a dinner with the province of Brabant, and also with a lot of CEOs of industries of which BUAS is active. So a lot of talking, a lot of lunching as well in Sibylicious, which is great, by the way. I can recommend it to everyone. And yeah, and to make sure that BIAS is and will be in a flourishing community. That's my main task here, so that you can get the best out of your education, and that we hire the best professors, and that we can take care of our professors, and that they create an atmosphere, a climate that you as a student can excel. That's what I try to do here. Yeah.
And how did you get to this position? Like, what did you study in university, and how did you get your first job after you graduated that led you to become an executive board member here?
Well, I studied public administration and also history at Leiden University. And then in my third or fourth year at Leiden, then I was offered a job as a student assistant. And then I set up a branch campus of Leiden University in The Hague. And that was my first work experience, building an institute in higher education. And then, yeah, I really fell in love with education and higher education. So that made me to choose to work in the world of higher education. And then I became a assistant professor, lecturer of public administration at Leiden University, and then keep on, yeah, working in higher education. So setting up new institutes. Also worked for the Ministry of Education for a couple of years at the Quality Assurance branch. So it has been higher education and also in an international context that I've been working for many, many years. And I started with a student assistantship, and that's, yeah, where a lot of you got a lot of experience there, and that I liked it very much. And I keep on doing this for already 25 years, something like that. Yeah.
And what would you say is one of the biggest challenges that you see students having after graduating here?
Well, the good news is that BIOS is really well connected to the world of work. So with the industries and the domains where we're working in, you see that there are a lot of opportunities to have placements, and especially after COVID, now we see more and more opportunities. When we had COVID, of course, it was more difficult to find a suitable work placement. But now we see that a lot of our students are connected, and I would really recommend students to go on to have an internship and pursue the jobs that you think that you like, and to have a taste of that. Because if you then really like it, and there's a connection also with the company involved, yeah, then that's the best way of finding a job with via a work placement. So I can recommend that wholeheartedly.
Well, thank you so much for coming. This was our first guest, Judith Snyder.
Thank
Let's give a
you.
round of
Thank you.
applause.
Thank you. Great. Thanks for having me. Yeah, very good, guys. Thank you very much. I look at the complex. Thank you very much. I have. Yeah.
Hello, guys, and welcome to Tips with Larv. Today, I will be giving you some tips for your well being. My first tip is to get enough sleep. Sleep is essential for maintaining a good mental and physical health, which also improves your school performance. Tip 2, practice self care. Make time for activities that make you feel relaxed and happy, such as reading, taking a bath, going on a walk, or maybe any other activities. And seek help! Yeah, no, seriously. Don't hesitate to seek help from your teachers, fellow students, or counselors when you're struggling with academic or personal issues. Asking for help is a sign of strength, not weakness.
And now we're going to welcome our second guest, Annie. She is a third year creative business student from Moscow, Russia. Growing up, she dreamt about living abroad and speaking French and having a successful career. She is currently interested in marketing, and furthermore, she loves traveling, spending quality time with her friends, and more importantly, men of quality. Her goal is to become an independent and rich woman who can change the world and save our planet. Hi, well, it's nice to have you here.
Thank you.
So to start us off, we're gonna play a small little game with our guest Annie here. It's called the Build Your Career game. So Annie has prepared some job requirements describing her dream career, and me and the crew here are going to have to guess what the career is. So, first of all, the papers. Here you go. Thanks. I don't know. Okay, so the first thing that Annie is going to tell us about her dream career is the salary. That's easy.
100K minimum.
Minimum. Okay.
Yep.
Okay. The next thing is the location. So where is your future goal?
And this one is also easy. Melbourne.
Australia. I love Australia. And work-life balance is gonna be the next one. So how is it gonna
Hmm.
be?
Well, this one, I think a lot of people will relate like this. So 80% live and 20% work, I would say. You know, take it chill.
That's impressive. That's aspirational. And next is the what type of work do you think it's going to be? Do you want it to be?
Well, that's a tough question. Well, I want it to be this at, to start off. My handwriting is not the best. I want it to be creative and cool thing. I'm also studying creative business, so maybe I'll get a job like this. I hope.
I mean, I think it should be. We're all here. So, then what is the level of responsibility that you have at your job?
Well, I'm gonna put it like this: 24/7 involvement all the time. But it's really important job, I would say. Like the word couldn't exist without it. So 24/7 involvement, constantly on the go, constantly ready to work.
And the last one is the company culture.
I have one word: family. Family. I want it to be like family vibes, traditions, inclusivity, family. Familia.
Okay, so now I have to guess, but I have very little idea as to what it could be. Um, I mean, the general aspect that I could guess is maybe something that's obviously related to media because we're in a media school. So maybe working for a company that's it's very important, saves the planet. That's something that you like. Eco-friendly related, that vibe.
I like your thoughts about it, but it's a bit different direction. Even though I really want to save the planet, everyone, but it's a bit different. This I want to start off with this career. I want to be like myself. I would give you a small tip, small help. This is really Slavic thinking to do. I know you speak the same language as I do.
I'm about to embarrass my roots. No, no. Very Slavic thing to do,
Like Slavic girls would do it.
like influencer. That's what it's giving me. You know. Like, oh, I can't think of anything. Damn, I'm blanking.
Should I
Give me,
just?
yeah, just give me the answer at this
Well,
point.
I'm gonna be a trophy wife because this job gives a lot of opportunities, a lot of chances
Yeah.
to, just be yourself. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's where I was going with influencer.
Yeah.
Okay, and how are you planning on realizing this dream career of yours, becoming a trophy wife?
Well, I have my own ways. I don't wanna tell you all the secrets. Maybe after we're done with life, we can work together. But when apples fall, you just have to pick it one after another. But I'm planning to find good connections and just work my way through to posh life, basically.
I mean, that's definitely the way to go. Is there any like particular media industry area that you would think that this could lead you to that goal?
Well, yeah, I really like advertising, marketing. So, jokes aside, I would do advertising or public relations, maybe in fashion, maybe like celebrities. I mean, and just work as in like I would like to do cool ads, cool concepts, being creative, honestly.
Okay, and the last question for our guest here: what is your genuine plan after graduation? Like, what do you think you're gonna do?
I think I'm gonna marry Australian men for passport to begin with, but I really want to graduate, find a job, and be successful, and just girl boss. Who doesn't want it?
I mean, yeah. Okay, well, thank you so much to Annie for coming on our show. Let's give a round of
And welcome back to Tips with Larv. On this segment, we have pickup lines that are guaranteed to work. So do you have a map? Because I got lost in your eyes. Excuse me, but I think you dropped something. My jaw. And are you a magician? Because every time I look at you, everyone else disappears. If I could rearrange the letters of the alphabet, I would put you and I together. Do you have a name, or can I call you mine? And if you were a vegetable, you'd be a cucumber. And that's it.
And now we're going to welcome our final guest, Nina Saunders. She is a lifelong educator, world traveler, and collaborative community builder who is passionate to continue and inspire and empower future generations, to broaden their minds through education. So let's give a round of applause for Nina. Hi, it's
Hi.
so nice to see you.
Nice to see you.
Um, yeah. To start us off, we're gonna play a little game. So it's two truths and a lie. Nina here has prepared three statements,
Yep.
and I'm gonna have to guess which one is the lie out of the three of them.
Sounds
So-
good. Yes. So yeah, the first one is you have them. Oh, okay. So the first one is I studied for a year in Japan for community theater. The second one is my first paid job was as an actor where I had to act for 13 hours a day. And the third one is I have worked in 38 states and 13 countries for the work in the industry.
Hmm. I feel like maybe the second one is a lie because the 13 hours is a little bit extensive. Because I feel like the states and the countries could be very plausible. And obviously, you're from the states, so
Yeah.
I think you would travel there, and now you're here in the Netherlands, so I think that's plausible. Also, Japan's, but then it could connect to the country.
Mhm.
So I think that the second one is a lie.
You'd actually be incorrect. I didn't spend any time in Japan. Yes, my first paid acting gig was acting for 13 hours a day on the weekends. So yeah, it was intense. But I'm from the US, so that's often how I think.
That is impressive, though. So could you briefly tell us like what studies have you done before this?
Yeah, I started as an actor. I studied acting, and then I went into directing, and I felt directing was much more my niche, and so I stayed in directing for a lot longer. And then I went into screenwriting from there, because as I was directing, I was wanting better content in order to create. And it wasn't until I got into film when I moved to California that I started doing some lighting and sound design because I really wanted to bring in some psychology to the way that the audience responded to the message. I did get a master's degree in creative leadership, just because I often found myself in educational leadership positions. And then later on, I went on to study a lot more in the film and theater industry in regards to psychology and how to create pedagogical approaches to diversify education to reach neurodiverse and struggling students for well-being.
That's very impressive.
Yeah,
That's,
kinda
that's
continued
very
a little bit
impressive.
different.
And how have your studies differ from what we do here at Creative Business?
Yeah, primarily I did lighting. I did acting, directing, and film and theater. And then it wasn't until I became a professor that I started doing a lot of more of the marketing and the content creation and digitization. And so I would often digitize curriculum, creating podcasts for colleagues and partner companies through our university. So that's when I got into the creative business aspect. And so while I didn't study creative business, I always use the elements of creative business that you guys are using in order to grow our industry. So yeah.
And during your studies, did you ever imagine that you would end up as a professor or a lecturer here in such a different kind of area than to what you actually initially did?
It's odd. I thought when I was in high school that I was going to be a marine biologist, and so I was really good in science and math, and I thought that was going to be a path. But then I started doing acting when I was my last 2 years in school, and I got a full scholarship to college doing it. And so I was like, well, I'll just go and follow the money. And then after I follow the money, then I can I can go back to being a scientist afterwards. So I got the bug, and I got the acting bug, and I got some prestigious awards. And my professors were like, "Hey, you should totally do this as your career." And so then that's when I kind of just continued on with that process. But then I always kept one foot in education because I loved education. I knew education was always going to give me the resources and the network and the connections I needed to get further in my career. So education has always been a part of it alongside of it.
And what would you say is a piece of advice that you could give to, well, your students now, the future students to come after graduating, or just throughout the study in general? What would you advise them?
Yeah. I would say that, life ebbs and flows. And if you have a question, I live by the philosophy of live your questions, try something. If it doesn't feel right for you, then try something different and go into the different directions. And you're going to grow, you're going to change. But if you do every job to the best of your ability, you'll always have a job in the industry.
Is there any specific tips on how to get a job in the industry after this?
I mean, I really think that networking, it's all about networking. It's about creating those connections, putting yourself out there, being bold. I love the Goder quote that says, whatever you can do or dream you can, begin it. Boldness has genius, power, and magic to it, but you have to begin. You can't just, nobody's going to just hand you the jobs that you want. You have to know what you want and go after that with the full force, and you'll get it eventually in some way or another. And your life will always be what it's meant to be. It may not be what you want it to be in that moment. So just try to enjoy the journey.
And what is like the one highlight you would say throughout your journey? It's maybe a lesson that you've learned about yourself, or maybe a lesson that you've learned from others. What is the biggest point that you would say throughout your entire journey, from actor, from wanting to be a marine biologist to actor to now obviously lecturer here?
Mhm. It's all about people. It's about people and connections and the personal experience of sharing inspiration with one another, inspiring. It's not so much about that title. It's not so much about that job. I mean, I had some very prestigious things that happened to me, and I felt like, okay, this is cool, but it wasn't everything. And the coolest part was whenever I made connections for students and inspired them to pursue their dreams, or seeing someone write a script and have it like change the way that they think about an issue or a topic and try to make the world a better place in those ways. So that's what I love about our industry.
Okay, well, thank you overall. Thank you so much for coming. This was a lovely talk. Let's give a round of applause. Thank you.
And welcome back to Tips with Larv. Tips now are tips on how to make studying easier. First, break down a big assignment into a smaller part, make an overview, and take it step by step. Secondly, see the value of certain assignments. Try to find something that doesn't look fun and see what you can learn from it. And lastly, I advise all teachers to out. You guys are listening? Lastly, use ChatGPT. Okay, bye.
Well, this was the show already. Thank you so much for tuning in this week. I really want to thank all of our special guests for taking the time today to share their insights. And hopefully, all of you guys watching our show have a better overview of what to do after you graduate from BUAS. I was Alina Babrova. Thank you so much for watching the show and have a wonderful day.